If I were to die today, this piece was inspired and I felt like I had to write this because of Kobe Bryant's tragic death, which I'm sure you all know a lot about. I talk about death a lot in my life. I'm sure I do compared to most people because I recognize that the more you talk about death, the more you actually appreciate life. And you can go into things such as, I'm scared of releasing this video, but I'm going to die, so what does it matter? I'm just going to release this video. You could apply it to anything. I really like art, but I'm afraid to become an artist. But I'm going to die, so I might as well try. And if I fail, I fail. We're all going to die. No one can pass judgment on you. Like your generation, we're all going to die together. So when we're dead, most likely, assuming there's no afterlife, your friends can't talk shit about you. You won't feel a sense of embarrassment for all the stupid things that you tried to do and that you did do. It's like you don't have much to lose. We're all going to die. So we might as well live life to its absolute fullest. And Kobe's death, like many of you, when I found out, I got this big pit in my stomach. We all expected Kobe to be around forever. He was the epitome of someone who was invincible, immortal, someone who's going to live forever. The truth is he will live on forever. His legend, his legacy will never die. He expanded and touched everyone in the globe, from China to Europe to America to South America, everywhere. People knew about Kobe Bryant. They knew how incredible he was at basketball, and they also knew about his incredible work ethic and attitude towards life. He really utilized the stoicism, or the stoic philosophy, to its fullest. And so his death, I felt inclined and inspired to write this piece. This is my first article video, so I think the purpose of this, I'm going to read the piece, but within the piece, I might have an additional thought that I want to add later, or have additional commentary to expand on that maybe might make it into the piece or might not. So I also plan for this to be an exercise for me to improve upon the piece. So, okay, my latest article, If I Were to Die Today. Someday, hopefully in the distant future, today will be the day I die. The same goes for you. This inescapable fact might scare you. It absolutely terrifies me. But our fear does not make it any less true. We fear what we don't understand, and death fits perfectly into the category of ideas we don't understand. Millions of thoughts scream in my head. What will happen to my consciousness? Will I be able to see my family and loved ones again? Will anyone care that I'm dead? Over 100 billion people have died in human history, and most of them perish into the unknown without a peep from society. If your death does not elicit mourning from mainstream society, does that mean your life was meaningless? Last week, Kobe Bryant, Gianna Bryant, and 7 others died in a helicopter accident. Similar to the deaths of John Lennon, Princess Diana, and Martin Luther King Jr., it felt like the world came together in a moment of unity to mourn the end of a legend. Well, I guess his legend doesn't come to an end, but his physical body and life has come to an end. Yet accidents happen every day to people we will never know, and likely you and I will never achieve the public adoration these heroes received. We will pass on into the abyss of the unknown without praises from the masses. Does it matter how many people sing our praises when we are dead? There will be no stories told, no songs sung, and no statues to celebrate our life. Instead, our legacy will live on through our families. And for all of the good and bad we do, our persona will become cemented as part of the most dominant species to roam this planet, and maybe the universe. Let's just figure out light speed travel first. Back to death. When we die, our bodies will be cold. Our thoughts will dissipate. But what about our spirit? Will we be able to hear the thoughts and prayers espoused by those who love us? If we can't, does this mean they are useless? No, it doesn't. Though the dead may not hear our prayers, they will be honored and humbled to know we care about them on this level. Think about how good you'd feel to know how many people loved you. And sure, the dead could actually hear our prayers. What about those of us in mourning? Mourning the loss of a loved one is a tragic, sad, and painful experience. There is no right way to grieve. Many cry, sit silently alone, or can't process what happened and live in denial. There is no book on how to deal with loss. Well, actually, I linked to a book that talks about loss, but the idea is that we all have different opinions and different ways about grieving, and there's no real right or wrong way. It's such an emotional and human experience to grieve the loss of a loved one that there is no authority that should tell you the right way or the wrong way to do so. The idea of the person you knew, spent time with, and loved never being able to look at you again is incredibly sad. All the times you had, the bonds you shared, and the person you knew are gone, finished, completed. The only thing that remains are your memories. No matter how many followers you had or how loud your voice gets, you can never communicate with this person directly again. And I guess the point of that, the followers reference, you could have 100 million followers and broadcast your message to the whole planet. But you and me and someone with a zero social media presence, it doesn't matter. All of us are in the same boat when it comes to death. We can't communicate with those we lost. Unless you believe in the afterlife. But believing in the afterlife means you never have to confront death honestly. Is this why this idea is so widespread? Are we so afraid to face death that we duped ourselves into the idea of an imaginary afterlife filled with our loved ones? What if the afterlife isn't real? Instead of becoming fearful, sad, or mad at this insinuation, maybe it would be better to live a more grateful life. Think about the outpouring of love, generosity, and strength displayed by humans after Kobe Bryant's death. Imagine if the entire world was always so grateful, compassionate, and loving. What would this mean in the way senators and congressmen conduct their politics? How about business people who are known to be ruthless and lack empathy? Or the parent who continually berates and puts down their child when they mess up? When you're alive, those around you take you for granted. It was a given that you would attend the next dinner amongst your friends. It was a given that you'd show up to work the next day. It was a given that you'd get married, have children, and grow old. But sometimes tragedies strike and you are powerless. Discussing death and losing our loved ones gives us an appreciation for life. We've all dealt with death. For me, I've lost my papa, Paul Greenstein, great uncle Benny Casuto, great aunt Michelle Meyer, and most recently, my stem cell recipient, Michelle Sion. Of course, these are not the only deaths I've dealt with, and there are others who I miss terribly. But I do feel grateful this list isn't as extensive as other people's. Writing these names down causes my eyes to water. Why am I so emotional? These people all played essential roles in my life, and when I think about them, I only have positive memories. I remember how funny my papa was at all our family gatherings, and how happy he made my nanny, mom, and uncle. I always felt a tremendous amount of love and respect for my papa, and now I wish I could talk to him one more time. I remember playing baseball with my incredibly optimistic and joyful great uncle Benny. He was a classic ball player who would roll ground balls, throw pop-ups, and scream, hey, batter, every time he released the ball. I wish we could play catch one more time. I remember seeing great aunt Michelle open the door to her house with her big smile She'd kiss me all over my face and get lipstick everywhere. I would tell her to stop, as my face would turn redder than the lipstick due to embarrassment. I wish I'd have to wash my face from her lipstick one more time. I remember walking up to Michelle on stage a year ago at the Gift of Life Celebrating Life event in New York City. And I embraced Michelle like I will never embrace another human being again. I wish I could see her one more time. That's the beautiful thing about death. We all want one more time with those closest to us who experience it. Death gives you perspective and forces us to acknowledge our mortality. As such, we should embrace the people around us today and tell them how grateful we are for their love. To you reading this or watching this, when this title becomes real and I die today, I may not be in a better place, but I was better for knowing you. Thanks. Please subscribe to my channel and check out noahstar.com for every meaningful digression and sign up for the newsletter. Thanks.